For weeks, someone had been slipping poison into my body without me knowing. And when I finally discovered who was behind it, my soul shattered into pieces I'll never find again. Let me introduce myself. I'm Elena, 26 years old. 7 days ago, right after eating dinner, my body gave out without warning. I collapsed face first onto the dining room floor. At first, everyone around me whispered it was just exhaustion. Too many late nights at work. But then the doctor walked in with a face that told me everything was about to change. He said something I couldn't process. Someone has been poisoning you. Not once. Not twice, slowly, methodically for over a month. My family immediately pointed fingers at my younger sister. And for one horrible moment, even I started to doubt her. But last night, the truth ripped through every lie I'd been told. And when I learned who did this, and why, I felt my blood turn to ice. Before I take you through every terrible detail, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe to Winds of Thought. And drop your country in the comments so I know where you're watching from. Now let's walk into the nightmare together. I work as a floor supervisor at a mid-sized logistics company. Nothing glamorous, just spreadsheets, phone calls, and the same four walls every day. A normal life. Or so I kept telling myself. For the past several weeks, tiny things started going wrong with my body. At first, I'd wake up after 9 hours of sleep still feeling like I'd run a marathon. My arms felt heavy, like someone had strapped weights to them overnight. Sometimes my fingers would tremble when I reached for my coffee mug. Have you ever ignored warning signs because you didn't want to seem weak? That was me. I blamed stress, I blamed a bad mattress, I blamed anything except the truth, but then it escalated. Dizziness would hit me out of nowhere while I was standing in the grocery store. My focus would blur in the middle of simple tasks. Once I even forgot my own access code to the office server. Still, I refused to see the pattern. Life looked normal on the outside, so I told myself nothing was truly wrong. Then came the night that changed everything. I came home from work at my usual hour. The house smelled of roasted chicken and herbs. My stepmother, Diane, was stirring a pot in the kitchen, just like always. She believed dinner together was sacred. "You're late again, Elena," she said softly, not with anger but with quiet concern. I forced a tired smile. Work never ends. My father, Robert, was already seated at the table, silent as a statue. He glanced up at me for half a second, then returned to his plate. That was his way, always distant, always guarded. My younger sister, Mia, sat across from me, scrolling through her phone before looking up with a small smile. "You look exhausted." "Long day," I replied. We ate together like a normal family. We exchanged a few words about the weather, about a neighbor's new car. Nothing felt off. Nothing felt dangerous. But halfway through the meal, the room began to spin. A wave of dizziness washed over me. I blinked hard, trying to shake it off. Then my vision doubled. The edges of the table blurred. Maya's voice came from far away. "Na, are you okay?" I tried to answer, but my tongue felt thick. I don't. My fingers lost their grip. The spoon clattered onto the plate, and then everything went black. I don't know how long I was under. Minutes. Hours, a full day. All I remember is falling into a deep, silent void. When I finally opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was blinding white light. My vision swam. Voices echoed around me, familiar but distorted like they were underwater. "Elena? Elena, can you hear us?" My eyelids felt like lead. Slowly, painfully, I forced them open. Diane stood at my bedside sobbing. Her whole body shook as she clutched my hand. "Thank God you're awake," she whispered between gasps. Mia was next to her, eyes swollen red, face pale as paper. "You scared us half to death," she said, her voice cracking. My father stood a few steps behind them, his jaw tight, his eyes locked on me. "Lena," he said quietly. For a long moment, no one spoke. They stared at me like I might disappear if they blinked. My throat was sandpaper. Every muscle in my body felt drained. "What happened?" I managed to whisper. No one answered right away. Diane started crying harder. Mia looked away. That's when real fear flooded my chest. "Why are you all crying?" I asked. The door opened. A doctor strode in, fast, focused, serious. He checked the monitors, then turned to me. "You're awake, that's an excellent sign, but a sign of what?" I thought. "You were unconscious for nearly 24 hours. He continued. "Your condition was critical when you arrived. There was a real risk of coma or worse. Diane broke down completely. Mia tried to comfort her while tears streamed down her own face. I looked at the doctor, terrified and confused. Why, what's wrong with me? He paused, choosing his words carefully. Elena, your body fought hard. Your immune system is unusually strong. That's the only reason you're still conscious. The toxic substance we found in your system is extremely dangerous. My fingers dug into the bedsheet. If you had arrived even an hour later. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. We performed an emergency gastric lavage, the doctor said. Your family got you here just in time. Another 30 minutes and we might have lost you. Diane held my hand tighter, crying uncontrollably. My father stepped forward. Doctor, what caused this? The room went silent. The doctor's expression grew even graver. He looked directly at me. Her symptoms indicate poisoning. Everything froze. Poisoning, I whispered, my mind refusing to accept the word. Not a single large dose, he explained. Small amounts administered repeatedly over several weeks. Someone has been giving it to you systematically? That's impossible, Diane said immediately. Mia shook her head. Who would do something so evil? No one had an answer. I looked around at each of them, Diane broken, Mia terrified, my father silent and tense. And for the first time, a dark thought crept into my mind, someone in this room did this to me. As if on cue, the door opened again. 2 police officers stepped inside, and the atmosphere turned ice cold. We've been notified of the case, one said, his voice firm and official. Effective immediately, this is an active investigation. We'll need to ask everyone questions. I lay there weak, confused, terrified, staring at the people who were supposed to protect me. Suddenly, I didn't know who to trust anymore. The room felt smaller after that. Even surrounded by family, I felt utterly alone. The officer started with simple questions. What did you eat? Any recent conflicts? My mind was still foggy, but I answered as best I could. Dean made dinner, I said slowly. We all ate the same thing. Did anyone serve you separately? He asked. I paused. No, I don't think so. They wrote everything down, then turned to my family. Diane wiped her tears. I cooked the same meal for everyone. We all ate from the same dishes. Maya nodded quickly. Yes, together, all of us. My father stood silently just listening. Then the officer said words that changed everything. We will need to investigate every person in this household. Silence flooded the room. Everyone? Diane repeated. Yes, he replied. Family members, relatives, even co-workers. Her chest tightened. Soon more people arrived, relatives, neighbors, friends who had heard the news. Whispers filled the hospital corridor. Confusion, fear, suspicion, and then it started. I think they should look at the sister. One aunt murmured loud enough for everyone to hear. Mia froze. What? She's always been jealous, another voice added. They never got along as kids. Diane stepped in. Mia would never do something like this, but the whispers didn't stop. These things happen in families. Jealousy can go too far. Mia kept shaking her head. No, I would never hurt her. I can't kill my own sister. But nobody was really listening anymore. The police exchanged glances. We'll need you to come with us for questioning, one officer said to Mia. My heart dropped. No, I whispered weakly. Mia looked at me, tears spilling down her cheeks. I didn't do this. Please, Elena, you have to believe me. I know, I whispered back. But even as the words left my mouth, a tiny, ugly part of me wasn't sure anymore. And that uncertainty terrified me more than the poison ever could. They took her away. The room felt hollow afterward. The next several days blurred together. Police came and went, asking the same questions on repeat. They searched our house, the kitchen, the pantry, every water bottle and food container. Nothing, no traces, no clear evidence. They even expanded the investigation to my workplace. My coworkers were interviewed. My daily routines were mapped. Who I talked to, where I ate lunch, whether I had any enemies. Still nothing. It was as if the person responsible knew exactly how to leave no footprints. Meanwhile, I remained in the hospital. The doctors had flushed my system. But the weakness clung to me like wet clothing. Even sitting up felt like climbing a mountain. But my mind wouldn't rest. Who could hate me enough to do this? I cycled through everyone. Mia, no, her tears were too raw, too real. Diane, no, she never left my side, always praying, always holding my hand. A relative. But why? A coworker? Possible, but nothing added up. The question looped endlessly. Then who? Days passed. Finally Mia was released. No evidence had been found against her. But she wasn't the same person anymore. The fear in her eyes had hardened into something else, determination. She came to see me that evening and sat quietly by my bed. "You really believe me, don't you?" she asked softly. I looked at her. "Yes," I said. "And this time, I meant it with my whole heart." She nodded slowly, then spoke words that made my pulse race. "If it wasn't me, then it's someone extremely close to us." My heart skipped a beat. "I've been watching," she continued, remembering little things. I frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, like she was afraid to say more. "Nothing. Maybe I'm off." Could see it. Something was eating at her. Something she wasn't ready to voice. That night, alone in my hospital bed, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in the dark. Someone very close to us. For the first time, that idea didn't just scare me, it felt undeniably real. And deep in my gut, I knew the truth was closer than I wanted to admit. The next 2 days stretched into eternity. Every hour crawled. My body remained weak, but my mind raced without rest. I kept circling the same question: if not Mia, then who? On the second evening, Mia returned to the hospital. But this time something was different. Her face was pale, her eyes red, rimmed like she hadn't slept in days. She called my name softly, her voice trembling. I immediately asked what was wrong. She didn't answer at first. Instead, she closed the door, walked to my bedside, and sat down. Then she looked straight into my eyes, and said she thought she knew who had poisoned me. My heart pounded as I asked her to explain. She took a shaky breath, trying to stay strong. "At first I suspected someone else, a jealous relative or a coworker," she said. "But after I came home, I started noticing things." "What things?" I asked. She looked down at her hands and whispered a single word: "Dad." My body went numb. I refused to believe it. But she continued, explaining that she hadn't wanted to believe it either. "He was our father. It was our possible." Then she remembered something chilling. For the past several weeks, he had been the one bringing me a glass of juice every morning. He would insist I drink it all. "It's good for you, Elena. Finish every drop." As she spoke, memories flooded back. His hand holding the glass, his steady voice, the way he'd watch until I drained it. I swallowed hard. "But that doesn't prove anything," she said quickly. I told myself the same thing. Her hand started trembling. "Then last night, I heard something." I looked at her, my pulse roaring in my ears. "I couldn't sleep," she said. "I went downstairs to get water." Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Dad was on the phone in the study. He didn't know I was listening." Silence. "What did he say?" I asked slowly. Tears filled her eyes. "He said, she got lucky this time. But that won't happen again. Next time I won't miss." Everything inside me shattered. "No," I whispered. My hand started shaking. "No, no, no." Ma pulled out her phone. "I recorded it," she said. She pressed play. And then I heard it, my father's voice, clear and cold. "If this doesn't work soon, everything will go to waste." The phone slipped from my sister's hand. I couldn't breathe. My own father, the man who raised me, the man I loved, was trying to end my life. Tears rolled down my face. "Why?" I asked, but Mia had no answer. I closed my eyes, trying to hold myself together. Then I told her, "Take me home." She resisted, reminding me I wasn't fully recovered. But I insisted. I needed to hear the truth from his own mouth. After convincing the doctors, we returned to the house that night. The home felt different, quiet, heavy, like something evil was waiting in the shadows. Diane rushed toward me in shock. "Why did you leave the hospital?" she asked. I didn't answer. I walked straight inside. Then I saw him. My father sat on the couch, calm as if nothing had happened. Maya stood beside me, trembling. Diane looked confused. "What's going on?" she asked. My voice came out slow and cold. "We know who did it." "Silence," Diane asked. I looked straight at my father. "Him." Diane's face went white. "What are you saying?" "Play it," I said to Mia. The recording filled the room, every cold word echoing off the walls. My father didn't react. He just sat there motionless. The recording ended. Silence, heavy, unbearable. For a few seconds he didn't speak. He stared at the floor. Then slowly, he let out a long, ragged breath. "You want to know why?" he said quietly. My chest ached. His voice wasn't loud anymore. It wasn't angry. It was broken. Because everything that should have been mine was stolen from me. He laughed, a hollow, painful sound, the house, the land, the money. I worked my whole life believing it would come to me. But your grandfather gave in all to you. Tears filled his eyes now. To you. A child. I was his son. He continued, his voice shaking. I stood by him. I worked for him. I trusted him. He clenched his fists. And in the end, he chose you. I took a slow step forward. So you tried to kill me? I asked, my voice trembling. He looked at me, really looked at me, and then said something that destroyed me completely. No, I started hating you long before that. Hatred that all doesn't need a reason, it feeds on memory. My breath stopped. The day your mother died, he said, tears streaming down his face now. You were the one who begged to go out that afternoon. If we hadn't gone, she would still be alive. My legs felt weak. You blamed me. I whispered. I lost everything that day. He said, my wife, my life later, my inheritance too. The room felt like it was closing in. So yes, he said slowly. I couldn't watch you take the last thing that was supposed to be mine. Silence. Deep, painful. I stood there, tears falling silently. This wasn't just years of anger, pain, hatred, all aimed at me. I wiped my tears slowly. Then I spoke. I won't do what you did to me. My voice was shaking but steady. Because you are my father. He looked up at me. Hope flickered in his eyes for a second. But I didn't stop. You wanted wealth, right? I nodded toward the room. Take it. His face froze. Take everything. But from today, I am no longer your daughter. Silence. The words hit him like a physical blow. Something inside him broke. His shoulders slumped. His eyes filled completely. For the first time, he looked small, not powerful, not angry, just utterly alone. He opened his mouth like he wanted to speak, but no words came out. Only tears. The worst silence is the one where nothing is left to forgive. Diane stepped forward, her face full of pain. Today you didn't just lose a daughter, she said. You lost your entire family. She shook her head slowly. Keep your wealth. Mia stood beside her, crying silently. I don't even recognize you anymore, she whispered. My father closed his eyes, tears falling freely. But still, he said nothing. Not a single word. And that silence was louder than any scream. I turned around. This time I didn't look back. We walked out together, leaving him alone in a house filled with everything he had ever wanted, but nothing he actually needed. 2 days later, we heard something unexpected. He walked into the police station himself and confessed to everything. No arrest warrant, no pressure. Just guilt. Because sometimes the worst punishment isn't prison, is it? It's living with what you've done. Knowing you destroyed the only people who ever truly loved you. If this story touched you, hit like and subscribe to Winds of Thought. And share this video with someone who needs to hear that family isn't always blood. It's who stays when the truth comes out.